Miranda Chen. I'm a graduate student at the University of Tennessee. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Professional Development Committee for DBER-SiT.
And I am Bree Tripp. I'm also a graduate student at Portland State University, and I am the other co-chair. So to get started,
Introduce the other people.
Yeah, do you guys all want to stand up?
And so this effort is definitely not done alone. This whole event was put together by several individuals who put time and energy into the organizing everyone. So I wanted to introduce everyone. If you wanted to say hi and where you're from.
Sure, I can do that. Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a postdoc at Emory University.
Hi everyone, my name is Lynn Chow and I'm a postdoc here at University of Minnesota.
And I'm Liz Janae-Bacon. I'm a postdoc at Tufts University Medical School.
Yeah, so we've got a good mix of graduate students and postdocs that have put this together over the last year.
Yeah.
So, what's working?
This way? No? How do we go this way? No. I didn't do it.
Always.
It's very anticlimactic. Now? No.
There we go. Okay. So we are going to be recording the panelists today. The recorder is only going to be on them for the first hour. We're not going to be recording once we actually do the breakout sessions. If you don't want your voice to be recorded, please let us know and we can edit that out of the video. They are going to be put on some kind of platform, probably YouTube or something like that, and shared with the community for those that aren't able to attend because the workshop was completely full. Yay! Yes.
Yeah, we're waitlist and everything.
Yeah. Please feel free to tweet about this workshop. We really want people to tweet. It's at DBER-SiT is our Twitter handle, and it would be great if y'all would tweet us.
Yeah. So I was having conversations about this career panel when I was at the GRC actually, and I was talking to Jenny McFarland, who is a community college instructor, and I was just using the words, I'm like, this is going to be an alternative career panel. But she was just like, it was an interesting conversation because she said, is it really alternative though? Because if we look at the data, we have, like this is just from Mark Connolly's work looking at like longitudinal tracking of where STEM PhD students go. And we find that here, 37.5% of these, their sample of like 3,000 PhD students, after 5 years, they go outside of academia, or what's 180? Anyway, they go outside of academia, and then we have some that stay in academia among different types of positions, but really it's not as alternative as we think, right? And hence the reason for this career panel. We always talk about what are the options that we have as individuals who are studying in education research, right? And so that is our hopes for getting this together to dispel any misconceptions that you have of positions. You're not just like shoehorned into just academic positions. Like, how do we make it so that your skills can be I guess, changed or reframed for different career options? Like, you have a lot more than you think.
Okay, so I'm just gonna yell. Right. Today, for the first 15 minutes or so, we're gonna have our panelists introduce themselves, roughly 3 minutes apiece, about how they got here, what they do, and then we're gonna have an open discussion for an hour, so you all are free to ask any and all questions that you've ever wanted to know about what to do after we graduate or after a postdoc.
And use the mics to be pressed down and just speak into the mic when you have a question.
Right.
We'll be moderating, so raise your hand and then we'll choose as necessary.
Yeah, or if you have a really loud voice like me, then you can just use your loud voice. And then after that, we're going to have breakout sessions. So we'll have each of the panelists go to one of the 5 tables, and then you're free to ask them the questions that you've been most interested in, pick their brain about specific things that they talked about within the first hour, and some of them have some handouts too. And then we'll ring a little bell at 15 minutes.
We rotate, and then they will rotate.
And then the panelists will rotate. You can sit where you're at. The people that aren't at a table can bring their chairs and join another table. And so that's how we will do the majority. Yeah. The
Well, we'll
second
take a
part.
break in the middle so that you can refresh yourselves, stretch, grab some food, and then we'll start the breakout sessions in the second half.
Yeah. So I think we will start with introducing our panelists. Brian, do you want to start us off?
And so everyone can give like a small spiel about like who they are, their position, and kind of like how you got there, I guess, or like a trajectory, that you want to highlight for the audience. Feel free to speak into the mic if it's hard to hear. I'll check.
So my name is Brian Sato. I'm from the University of California, Irvine. I am a teaching professor, which is there are lots of positions like this popping up around the nation now, but the UC system has a fairly unique system where we are tenure track, but we are expected to teach more than a traditional research faculty member. We have lots of opportunities to do other stuff, and that stuff can be fairly flexible depending on what the individual wants. So I focus on education research, but there are people who do outreach and work with graduate students and professional development stuff and things like that. My other half of my job is I'm Associate Dean for our Division of Teaching Excellence and Innovation, which on our campus covers faculty professional development, graduate student professional development, our Teaching and Learning Research Center, our online course development, and we have a classroom learning spaces person. And so I get to oversee those folks who do a tremendous amount of work for our campus, and so there's a lot of overlap there between my interests and that role as well. How I got here, so I have a traditional biology PhD. I studied protein degradation in yeast. I had a teaching postdoc, which on our campus I was in the lab, I was looking at fly or mRNA degradation in fly embryos. But I also got to teach a lot. So every quarter I taught a different class, labs, lectures, things like that. And so that enabled me to get the job that I have now. As far as the education research stuff, I don't think I even knew that existed when I was doing my grad work and my postdoc. And I sort of started doing it because my position, you had to have some sort of scholarship. So I said, sure, that's not bad. But honestly, that's what I enjoy most now. And even though we're supposed to be spending most of our time teaching, I probably spend maybe 15% of my week doing teaching stuff and the rest doing admin stuff and research.
I'm going to use the microphone. Christina Peterson. I am here at the University of Minnesota, and my title is Education Program Specialist in our Center for Educational Innovation. And what I do is actually a fairly long list that changes from year to year, which is why I like the job so much. But basically, I'll throw out some of the larger components of what I do. Teaching, so I have taught in preparing future faculty or teaching in higher education, actually in this exact room here. And so that's for graduate students and postdocs, prepare them for a career in teaching in academia. I also had the opportunity to design like my dream course, which is pharmacology of the synapse, that I taught in collaboration with the Department of Pharmacology here, and those were to advanced undergraduates in a room just like this, only one floor down. And of course I'm involved in giving workshops, consultations with faculty, but probably the majority of the work that I'm doing right now is collaborating with our School of Medicine here on campus, also School of Veterinary Medicine. But School of Medicine is redoing their curriculum in a very major and impressive way, and so I'm involved in that various committees and recommending best practices, and they really are focusing on student well-being and reducing the number of contact hours, which means cutting content, and I'm involved in ways to do that, and also evidence-based approaches for teaching that go beyond the 120 slides in a 50-minute lecture that have probably 10 bullet points on them. It's very exciting work. And I also run pedagogical journal club on campus that I really love doing, and I work with other departments. And that's just sort of a taste of what I do. I have the best job in the world, I just want to say that. And so how I got here was very circuitous. I didn't know this position existed when I was in graduate school. My PhD is in pharmacology from Vanderbilt, and I wanted to go to graduate school because I wanted to teach. I worked in a lab as a technician at the time, and so my initial essay to get into graduate school talked about how much I wanted to teach. And my lab members said, no, you need to talk about how you love research and what you really want to do is research and have your own lab and be a PI, and then the teaching thing can maybe come out later. So went to graduate school, pharmacology, where we were not allowed to teach because all of our work needed to go towards our projects. So I had zero teaching experience. Then I did a postdoc in Department of Anesthesiology at Vanderbilt, and again was discouraged from teaching because it would take away from my time at the bench, and I just sort of found myself on this trajectory towards getting my own lab, writing grants that I didn't want to be on. And at that point I felt like I would be a total failure to the people who invested in me if I got off this track. Eventually I did, and that's a whole story we can talk about in terms of who I disappointed. I moved here for my parents. I had elderly parents. Took just like a project manager position at the Center for Educational Innovation, realized what they did, loved it. They ended up hiring me full time, and the rest is kind of history, and this is where I should have been all along. So I guess that's enough to start with.
Awesome, and